limits, man. Whoa. Okay, calm down.
In the interest of being fair and balanced, I think maybe you guys are overreacting. I'm gonna let Dana Bash and some other CNN heads try to speak some sense into you hysterical women.
Federal lands issue when it comes to abortion. There's a lot of Democrats, voters, or progressives in Congress like Pramila Jayapal who want to see specifics. They want President Biden to do more. I don't know if they're going to be looking at that interview and feeling that the Biden administration is ready to do a whole lot on abortion or really can do a whole lot.
Administration expand abortion access or abortion services on federal land, meaning provide the access on federal land that might be in and around states that ban abortion?
I think that what is most important right now is that we ensure that the restrictions that the states are trying to put up that would prohibit a woman from exercising what we still maintain is her right, that we do everything we can to empower women to not only seek but to receive the care where it is available.
Is federal land one of those options?
I mean, it's not right now what we are discussing, but I will say that when I think about what is happening in terms of the states, we have to also recognize, Dana, that we are 130 odd days away from an election.
I don't know if they're going to be looking at that interview and feeling that the Biden administration is ready to do a whole lot on abortion or really can do a whole lot.
It's the can part of it. It's not as if the Biden administration, the vice president herself, was saying, no, I don't want to do all of the things that are being proposed by a lot of groups, a lot of members of Congress, obviously, in their own party, particularly this federal lands issue. You're exactly right. Progressive women are being very vocal about the federal government doing that. They're just not sure that that is legally viable. It's not on the front or the top of their list that they're pushing. She said it's not something they're looking into. I think that they have and they will in some ways, but they just don't think it's really that viable.
The problem with progressives is they would like to see the White House behaving as if this is a 5-alarm fire, and they don't feel as if they are seeing that in some cases. Whereas the vice president, the president saying, we just can't, there's just nothing we can do.
Yeah. I mean, the way that she described it effectively is that this is going to be a very, very long haul, that it was generational. She talked about her daughter and her stepdaughter and her mother-in-law, who are 50 years apart, and it is going to likely take maybe that long to change things. It's very clear from talking to her, from talking to others in and around this issue, that they're going to do what they can on the federal level, but this is going to be and is already a state fight.
For them to sit up here and say like, oh, well, they want the White House to treat this like a 5-alarm fire. It is a 5-alarm fire because
it's a public health catastrophe.
Like Black women die 3 to 4 times more, and in a state like Louisiana, up to 5 times more on delivery tables than white women do. And not only that, the U.S. already had the highest infant mortality rate and the highest maternal mortality rate out of any well-developed country. And we're spending 2 times more on our healthcare than any other country. So I'm just so frustrated. The lack of urgency that they have just shows the insulation that happens when you get to a certain level of power in DC. And even me, I live in DC. Like, the Beltway bubble is real. Like, you can talk to people and they can be completely disconnected from what's happening in the streets. And a lot of these people, like, they live 20 minutes away from Southeast, which is a 93% Black area where these maternal mortality rate issues are happening right here. They're happening right here. But these people are so insulated in their bubble that they don't even see it. They don't even see it or understand it. And I'm so tired of being like gaslit by these people. I'm so tired of talking to people that seem to not care about my life at all. And for people to say that we're overreacting when I know for a fact that people are going to die from this? Like, how can you tell us that we're overreacting? And then also in that same breath, out of the other side of your face, tell people to donate and fundraise and vote for the Democratic Party. What? Like, there's no empathy. There's no empathy in the Democratic Party. So what are we voting for if they're not going to fight for us? I just
Yeah. I thought it was so like instructive. It was almost like a teachable moment, because usually the media doesn't show its hand in like massaging the messaging for politicians, but here she actually just did it. She said, it's not about whether they want to do it, it's that they can't do it. Totally accepting the framing that this is a question of ability, not of will, but their hands are tied. And this happens all the time. We just don't see it. They don't narrate that they're doing it. But here we actually see them just literally handing this framing over.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
And like, I literally wrote like pages, like a whole page full of things they can do. Like, and some of them might not work. Some of them, the efficacy is who knows, like, and some of them like might not, but it's just like, they just get a freaking plan. Like, even if they had come out on that first day and been like, here are abortion funds you can donate. If you were in these states, here are the organizations that can tell you how you can get to another place. We are going to give you this information. Like, like there's a wide range of political things they could do. They could talk about safe states and how safe states could come in and expand their abortion access, because a lot of them have trap laws and don't need them. And a lot of them could like have more protections in their state constitutions. They could have talked about that. They could have talked about so many things. And it would be like, it would still not be enough because they've messed it up so bad, but it would be something. Right. And there's just nothing going on. And to me, it's like, it's just this massive failure of systems. And I'm with Afeni, where it's like, you need to look outside of the system at this point. Like, I think there's a diversity of tactics that you should use. You should look at like ways we can work within the system and ways we can work without of it. But at this point, it's like, this is a massive failure of government, and the opposition party is not going to do anything about it. They are not treating it like a public health catastrophe, which it is. People are going to die. And not only that, it's not just people are going to die. People are going to have their lives robbed from them. Like they're not going to be able to go to school. They're not going to be able to go to college. They're not going to be able to, like get jobs that they want. They're not going to, their other children are going to have trouble, like they can't afford to feed all of these kids that they're going to have. There's going to be, CPS cases. People are going to end up in foster care because, and maybe like children that already exist are going to end up in foster care because of this, because all of a sudden your mom can't afford, the heat bill anymore because she has an extra mouth to feed. And then CPS comes and takes both of the kids away. And it's just like, talk about it like that. Talk about it like the material issues that people are going to face regarding this, and they don't do it. And to me, it's like, we should work within the system. There are things we can do within the system. But I'm kind of done with it. So,
just to expand on the foster care point, 90% of children that are in America's foster care system experience abuse or neglect, or both at the same time. So it's not saying, well, there are a bunch of kids that, we have a system to take care of them. No, we don't. These kids are not being taken care of. And these kids have a lower chance of graduating from high school. These kids have a higher chance of being incarcerated. These kids have a higher chance of drug addiction. These kids have a higher chance of, just a lower quality of life. And so if we are, slating people for poverty, what kind of country are we? 86% of people that are born in poverty in this country do not make it out as it is. So we are creating more and more impoverished people. And we have the chairman of the Fed talking about, we want to raise interest rates so we can have a 5% unemployment rate while this is happening at the same time. This is not sustainable. And I think that the fact that the Democrats are spending more time chastising their base for being upset, for being passionate, for being angry, instead of talking about the real effects of what is happening, instead of talking about the fact that there are 11 million children in this country right now that are food insecure. 1 out of 5 children under the age of 5 are food insecure. We have a baby formula shortage in this country. No, we have to give people a choice, especially if we're not going to give them any support.
Right.
So if the Democrats are not going to talk about it in those terms, then of course they're just going to let it slip through their fingers. And it's going to be yet another thing that they campaign on, and then they lose, because we all know that because they're not talking about those real material things, people aren't listening to the platitudes anymore. So then what? More and more women are going to die. And then Ron DeSantis is the person that they're trying to slate for 2024 outside of Trump. If Trump isn't the person, Ron DeSantis he's building his national profile right now. And he's talking about a national abortion ban. So if they control the House, the Senate, and the Supreme Court, and they implement a national abortion ban, this does not end here. So the Democrats need to talk about the real consequences of what is going to happen in the short term and in the long term. And if they're not going to do that, then of course, they're going to concede their power yet again. And people are not going to vote for a feckless, weak, spineless party. We're tired of that.